All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN put out a pretty interesting report regarding Mike Borgonzi, the assistant general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, someone who's currently right now viewed as the number one general manager candidate that's out there. Obviously, he has a lot of interest. So, Fowler says that the Titans will conduct their second interview with Borgonzi today, but Borgonzi is also a strong candidate for the New York Jets. Now, I haven't heard any buzz with the Raiders, and that Raiders job just feels. I mean, we talked about it when Tom Telesco was let go. Just the timing of it, very, very odd. You got to imagine that whoever the Raiders are targeting, probably a Ben Johnson at this point, they are willing to. They're willing to walk to the ends of the earth, right, to make it happen. Whether it's firing a Telesco, whether it's paying Ben Johnson a lot of money, giving him a longer contract, giving him more power, more say within the organization. So right now it looks like Borgonzi, and you know, it's not to say that Borgonzi can't go to the Raiders, but it definitely feels like it's the Titans and the Jets that have been linked the most to Mike. Now, in regards to Tennessee, it is a bit of a weirder situation because yes, of course, the Titans are coming off just a horrible season, and this is not a team that's just depleted of talent. Like, this team lost a bunch of games with some solid players on them, right? L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley, top 10 pick J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronski's a very good player, Cushenberry at center, Pollard, like, the list goes on, Jeffrey Simmons. The Titans are, like, they have a decent amount of players, but yet they still finished with the first overall pick, and Borgonzi can't come in and pick the coach. You know, it's looking like the Titans are going to be keeping Callahan for at least 2025. So there is going to be that prearranged marriage where the Titans have their coach and then they're going to go out and pick their general manager. You got to assume that if the Titans disappoint once again next season, then Borgonzi is going to potentially make a move and want to go out and hire his guy. Whereas with the Jets, if they obviously give him that job, right, offer that job to him, he can then go out and help pick out the head coach. And I would imagine at this point, Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, those are the two guys that are currently working with Borgonzi. You imagine that both of those guys would get heavy looks from the Jets. I mean, they've already interviewed both candidates without Borgonzi, so there is that obvious interest there. So I think, right, just putting my Jets fandom aside, you know, I got to be honest, I think the Jets are probably the better fit for Borgonzi because he gets that initial power and more creative decision making early on in the process. And look, it's not to say that it's inevitable that Callahan will get fired. Maybe they turn it around, right? Who knows? But Borgonzi will have more say with the Jets. That is for sure. And we look at Borgonzi as a candidate. No one knows exactly how he's going to, you know, draft, or no one knows exactly how he's going to negotiate with agents, right? How to handle, you know, rookie contracts, things of that nature, right? No one knows exactly how that type of stuff is going to play out because he hasn't been a GM before. But what Borgonzi has done really throughout the course of his career with the Chiefs is not only just work his way up through the totem pole, but he's impressing at every single level. This is also someone who's been described as helping and involved in every single area of the franchise. And by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs are the most successful franchise in the National Football League, right? They could three-peat this season, which is just crazy to think about. But I mean, so many wins, so much success. Of course, it's not just because of Borgonzi, right? We say this all the time. We have to credit Reed and Mahomes and Veach and all these different Spagnuolo, Nagy, like everyone that's a part of it, right? Now, here's the question. How realistic is it? Borgonzi has interviewed with the Jets. He's interviewed with the Titans. And the initial report here from Fowler is that, again, he's conducting a second interview with Tennessee. So from the Jets side of it, and who knows how that interview went, but if that interest is real and Fowler is correct here, where he's a strong candidate for the Jets, let's bring him in for a second interview. Let's just do it. Let's speed this thing along here. When we're talking about general manager, such an important figure within any organization, such a I mean, if you don't have a general manager or if your GM is just not effective, yeah, the chances of you being successful are not that high, right? If you have a horrible general manager or you have someone who's constantly missing on picks, you don't want to be essentially waiting around, right? If, again, there's a lot of assumptions here because we don't know exactly how Borgonzi will do as a general manager. All we know right now is what he's done up to this point, and that's excel in every single level. So you could assume, okay, he's going to be a great GM. We don't know that to be a fact. So maybe the Jets got a great vibe. Maybe they didn't. But if he did well, if the Jets walked away impressed, then we got to schedule this second interview. You don't know what could happen. Like the Titans could literally immediately offer Borgonzi the job after that second interview. They can do it. Now, I think the one thing that's benefiting the Jets is that the Titans list of GMs that they're bringing back for second interviews are like, it's like long as hell. So they obviously like a handful of candidates here, and they're going to do their due diligence with this second wave. Chances are, they're not going to, bring back whatever it is, 5-6 different candidates and then interview Borgonzi in the early portion and just offer him the job without talking to anyone a second go round. So I still feel like the Jets have some time here. But if the Jets miss out on Borgonzi, I would say it would be pretty disappointing on, knowing that we brought him in first, knowing that we let Joe Douglas go in the middle of the season. We've had time to prepare. We also have Rick Spielman and Mike Tannenbaum helping out the search, two former GMs, so they kind of know the lay of the land in regards to interviewing and how this whole process works. But there's plenty of other qualified candidates that the Jets could go after. John Eric Sullivan, would be someone who I would eye if Woody Johnson allows him to build like he did or build like the Green Bay Packers do, right? Which is through the draft, developing players. It's not the sexy, splash types of signings, big, time trades. It's really, hey, we got to build this thing from the inside out, make sure we have a short and long-term plan at the quarterback position, the offensive line, the defensive line, right? These important units are figured out. And they're all young, high floor, high ceiling types of players, and everyone knows their role. That doesn't really sound New York Jets. We know the Jets to be fast moving. We know Woody is not the most patient guy around. And it doesn't really feel like that's how the Jets like to operate. But I'm hoping with this embarrassment of a season, with all of these losses, with the playoff drought, with not reaching 500 year after year after year, with the Athletic articles, maybe it would open Woody's eyes to a certain degree and have him self-assess and say, you know what, let me do things a little bit differently. Let me shift gears and change it up. I would hope. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section on this. Where do you stand with Borgonzi? Where do you stand with the Jets as far as their interviews are how everything is being conducted at this point in time? Do you want them to speed it up? I'm going to do a separate video on that. But anyway, thanks so much. I appreciate you guys. And as always, go Jets.